And welcome back, everybody. Life, I don't have to tell you, is full of change. There's always something going on, or there will be something going on, probably very impactful in your life at some point. How do you navigate that? Well, you can go to therapy, there's medication, there's a lot of that for life's transitions, but there's also energy healing, but even more specifically, sound healing that can help you feel better, have more clarity, more confidence, just feel like you got it. Yeah, I got a grip on the situation that I just went through, or even if it happened a year ago, you're still dealing with that life transition. She helps people with that all the time through sound healing. Barb Sounds is back with us. Barb, welcome back. How are you?
Thank you, Steve. I'm good. How about you?
Well, very well, and waiting
Good.
for another concert. Every time we get together,
Mm-hmm.
we put you to play. But here,
Yep.
this is an interesting one: life transitions, and I really believe that we all have to deal with something at some point, right?
Oh, for sure. Lots of things, actually.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Sometimes multiple things at one time, which all the more reason for sound healing. Um, what when you play for life transitions, what circumstances are we kind of talking about here?
Well, life transitions are sort of in the eye of the beholder, so they're really different for many different people. And we often think of the negative life transitions, like when you lose your job, or you lose a parent, or you lose a child, or a friend, or you lose your health because you all of a sudden get sick, like all of those things. But I think we also have a difficulty dealing with positive changes. So let's say you're doing a big move and you're super excited and you really want to go and live where you're going to live. It's still really stressful because what you do, and even if you move from one place to another in the same city, what you do every day changes. And as human beings, we kind of suck at change. Like, we
Yeah,
don't want it to happen. We get our lives as organized as much as we can, the way we want them. And if there's stuff and we're continuously trying to make everything perfect so that we can just relax and settle down, and just do that for the rest of our lives. Which, of course, when you think of it, who wants to do the same thing exactly for the rest of their lives? But we're afraid of change because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how our life's going to change, and that's super hard, and it can have an effect on your feelings, your thoughts, your body. um, and I think also that in no matter where we live in the world right now, we're really disconnected from the different parts of ourselves. Like, we have a body, we have a mind, we have feelings, we have a heart that has its own kind of consciousness, and we have some kind of soul or, energy existence, depending on what you believe. But we tend to live most of our life focused in one thing. Like, we're either focused on our body, like if we're an athlete, or, we're a trainer or something like that, or maybe we're just a person who is very much in their body, or we just living in our mind. Some people go like way out and try to live in their soul, which is really hard when we're living in a physical body. And so I think and when we have things go wrong or when we're dealing with change, we don't know how to use all parts of us to balance things out and to deal with that change. And that was never made more clear to me than when I was in cancer treatment, because when you're in cancer treatment, you have to, in some kind of way, try to pull together, and kind of juggle and coordinate what's happening in your body, what's happening in your mind and your feelings, and what's happening in, just vis-a-vis in your sort of life awareness. And it's really hard to do that when we're like in a big panic mode. So one of the most beautiful things I think about sound healing for me is that it deals with all of the parts of us, and it can also actually help us. And I do some specific sound healing sessions with people that help them to just get more awareness and more sort of communication going with the different parts of themselves that they have, not really been that conscious of. And I think, mostly the way that we are treated, or we get treated when there's something going wrong or when we need some help, is, everybody is who helps us is kind of focused on one thing. So you have to go to a therapist and a physiotherapist and doctors and, you know,
Mm.
job consultants and business coaches and all those kinds of things. And when we're at our most vulnerable and our most stressed, we're having to go to maybe sometimes a dozen or more different places to get that healing. And then we get one place healed, but it gets jarred back into, dis-ease as we're working on all the other things. So sound healing for me just deals with, like, with all of you in the moment where you are.
Barb, would you say that sound healing was very, very impactful for you going through your treatment?
It was, and energy healing was. Now, where I'm living, I don't know. I know a lot of people who play gongs and bowls, and a few of them are, really awesome healers. But I didn't have anybody at that time who could do what I do, like who could play for me, and I couldn't play for myself. But I think the fact that I have been playing for years and years, and working with people, I started out the journey with cancer being quite aware of all the different parts of me, and having already been on a journey of over a decade to start to try to integrate all of that. So in cancer treatment, it was more just kind of really learning about how super effective that was. How to sit in a chemo session and be right inside my body, and stay there gently, like a parent holds a child who is hurting and
Wow.
crying, and you have to be able to do that to yourself and hold your body. And when you're in those treatments, the last thing you want to do is be in your body. Like, you just want to get your mind, get yourself out of there and just let whatever's happening happen. But it's so much more effective. And I think our healing is much better. Our moving on from all of these different transitions is better with, that integration. But certainly, I mean, having done sound healing before, I was fairly well integrated. And I've also seen it happening in my clients, which is why I started doing specific sessions just for that.
You, I believe you answered just a moment ago a question I was going to ask, and I've always been curious about this. You can't play to heal yourself. Is that correct?
You get that when you're playing and when you're doing any kind of energy healing, you get the benefit of the healing frequencies that are generated.
Okay.
So I always get there's some kind of healing that happens for me when I'm doing any kind of session, but it's not targeted, and it's not nearly as the healing isn't nearly as powerful and as focused as if somebody was doing a session,
And that's just the way it is,
for me.
right? That's just the,
Well, because yeah, I mean, the as I've said before, the gongs and the bowls, they play, based on the energy of who's in the room, and that can be a virtual room, right? I played at the beginning of COVID. I didn't have microphones set up, and I played every night for an hour with nobody listening because I had no sound, right?
give me
But I
that.
posted. So I, when COVID started and we all went into lockdown, I had been doing sound baths and was doing them in my home, and all of a sudden nobody could come in my home because we were in lockdown.
Sure.
And I wanted to be able to support people as much as I could during that really scary beginning part of COVID, when all our lives as we knew it just were kind of disappeared in a moment. I had just moved, so I didn't have my microphones unpacked. I did not know how to play virtually and, figure out all the ins and outs of Zoom at the time, which was incredibly complicated.
Hmm.
But I know from being a Reiki master that, we can do long distance healing, and we can do healing for people that aren't even here. And we can do healing for people who are actually unconscious. If they're at the end of life, or they're in, even if they're in a coma, you can do healing for them.
I never thought of that. Wow.
Yeah, you
Wow.
can. And so I thought, I need to do this. And so I posted on my social media that I was going to play between 8 and 9 p.m. EST time every night, at the beginning of COVID, because I had all my instruments and my in my living room. So I actually played my instruments. So it wasn't that I imagined playing them. I actually played those instruments, and it's my belief that just as I was in communication with people who were listening, that the energy and the frequencies that my instruments were playing were going to go out everywhere.
So am I getting this right? Even though people couldn't hear them,
Mm-hmm.
you're saying that the vibration was still going out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. And that can travel all over the place instantaneously. It's a kind of a different dimension than what we live in what we're now calling the 3D world, which is lovely, our physical world. But energy healing is it's inside that physical world for us, but it's also outside. And I had people listening from Europe who were, it was 4 o'clock in the morning when I was playing. And so they couldn't even be awake when I was playing. And I was like, that doesn't matter, and people could be doing the dishes. I said to people, you don't need to lie down for like an hour. It's going to still come to you. And so I had people just, post or, like my post if they wanted to be included. And within less than a week, I was playing for over 200 people. And I would say their names, right, as a way of connecting with them, because you have to ask permission from the person's higher self when you're doing long distance healing. You can't just go into somebody's energy field and start to heal them, right?
Otherwise, the world would be healed in the next 15 minutes with you just playing. Right? Like, why wouldn't you? If that was possible, heal song came out in the mid 80s. A bunch of top artists got together and it was called Heal the
Oh,
World.
heal the world. Yeah. Yeah.
So you would just do that. You would just
Yeah.
do that if it could be done. But now I see that you have to have the permission of somebody. They have to welcome the
You
healing
do.
or vibration in.
Yeah. Because you're doing something that is directed, if you're doing it directed towards a certain person. But there's I don't have the quote with me, and I think it was the Dalai Lama said, because our heart is very powerful, like frequency wise, our heart has a consciousness. Our heart creates frequencies that are way, way, way stronger than our brain or any other part of our body. And the
Oh,
Dalai Lama said, if you sit quietly for 10 minutes a day and you go and as much as you can, kind of be with your heart, you go into your heart center as much as you can. But if you don't even know how to do that, you can just in your mind beam out love and life. And I know this sounds really, airy fairy, but you can beam out love and light with your heart for 10 minutes and it will go everywhere in the world and it will be healing for people. So imagine what the world would be like if we all did that for 10 minutes every day. And that's not even directed at anybody. That's just sending it out there, right? When you
that's
smile at somebody, everybody, when they're walking around on the street, they're looking all frowny because they have to be somewhere and yada, yada, yada. And when you smile at people, first of all, it kind of freaks them out. I mean, I used to do this all the time when I was walking my dog in downtown Toronto. And when you smile at people, they first kind of get jumpy because they think something wrong with you and you're going to accost them. But then when they realize that you're just smiling at them, then they smile back. And that's an exchange of energy. And that has changed the frequency of that person's vibration in that moment and your own as well from
mm,
just smiling.
yeah,
You know?
and it goes in line with the thing that we've said before. When you say to somebody, "I'm sending prayers for your surgery or
Mm-hmm.
positive vibrations for that new job,"
Yeah.
coming your that you're doing that. You're sending it out. Assumably, they're accepting it that you're going to be sending it out. I don't want to run out of time. We've
No, I
it's
should
happened
play.
before.
Gosh.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. I try not to go over our time,
So,
but
and
I
this
will
this is
play.
life transition. That's what we're talking about today in terms of the intent of what you're going to play.
Yes. And I'm going to switch my video so that people can see me.
Yeah, and there she is in her
All
studio.
right. So everyone, you can keep your eyes open if you want to watch me play, or you can close your eyes and take a few deep breaths through your nose, in through your nose, and out through your mouth. And we are going to play for good energy and frequencies to help us deal with life transitions. There we go.
Wow. It's always a calming, relaxing experience whenever you play Barb.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah. Yeah,
Hmm.
it
And
is.
you hit the wind chimes. You did that last time or the time before. Um, it's funny. Whenever I hear them in nature, somebody just has them in a tree or next
Mm-hmm.
to your house.
Yeah.
Uh, there's just something about you just want to keep listening, and I never knew why. And just hearing random wind chimes, not being played by somebody, just the wind, right?
Yep.
Is there any healing properties from that? Just them rustling in the wind?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you sit out in your backyard, if you have a backyard or on your balcony or in a park, and there are no wind chimes, you feel differently than when there are.
Yeah.
So when there are, you're more relaxed, your body's more relaxed, your mind is more relaxed, you're a little bit happier. Your mind is more focused, your mind doesn't stray to all the bad things that our mind usually strays to, because that's partly our mind's job is to, you know, tell us about danger. But when you're sitting in a park or even in your home, if you've got one, right, and you're tinkling it yourself, it's very soothing and it's very calming. And that works on all levels. Like you can be sitting in your backyard thinking, ah, my life is over. This is crap. Why does all this, what does all this stuff happen to me? And then somebody could kind of walk up behind you and start playing the chimes, and you just be like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, it's not too bad, you know?
Soothing is the best word ever.
Yeah.
Calming is another one, but soothing just nails it. And it's almost as if a mom comforting a baby,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
kind of feeling the same way, where it's like, oh, I'm getting hugged. I'm getting hugged by sound.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, when you look at energy and energy healing, I mean, our bodies are made of energy. I mean, they're matter as well, but right, and our mind is energy. And when you can connect to a healing energy, such as the chimes or somebody playing a bowl, you're not only being healed yourself, but you're connecting to the infiniverse, like you're connecting to the all, to God or whatever people call it. If you don't believe in God, it's still like the energy. There's like infinite energy that we're surrounded by all the time. And
Mhm.
that's kind of like the big mom or the big dad. I mean, there's a reason why people imagine God as a father, right? Because that energy that label was put on, that energy outside of us just seemed so great and so awesome.
Mm.
And when we're in that, when you're in that space, you're part of, like, if you're a little particle of water in the ocean, you might think, well, what's that little particle going to feel like? Not much, because it's only a teeny tiny little thing. But you don't care if you're that little particle, that little drop in the ocean, because you are part of something that's like just so much bigger. And I think that, no matter how people interpret it, it's like that person that I had who, when she was in one of my sound baths, and she used to come regularly. And after, when people were sharing, she had heard one of the gongs, the Atlantis gong, and she had heard it as the sound of her father's lawnmower, like his ride on lawnmower. Then she had happy memories of childhood, like lying in bed in the summer, with the breeze coming through the window and listening to her dad mow the lawn. So that popped into her head. So, like, why did that pop into her head when she wasn't even dreaming? Right, that sort of memory, because and actually probably the vibration and the sound of, her father's lawnmower might have been irritating for the neighbors, but for her, that it was consoling. It was the
Wow.
same as a mom rocking a baby. And everybody has their own, little examples of that in their own times and things that make them feel that way. But I think sound healing is so universal because, you don't even have to speak the same language as the person that you're playing for.
I say that all the time. We're out of time, but I say that all the time that music is truly, truly universal, where
Hmm.
I can listen to music from another country and not even know what they're saying, but
Yep,
it moves me and I feel it. And it's like, I almost like it more sometimes because I don't get caught up in the lyrics. I just get
exactly.
caught up in the emotion and what I'm getting out of it. Um, and honestly, half the time, my brain, maybe it's from literally playing music on the radio for 4+ decades. It I don't hear the lyrics as much unless I really want to. I can focus away from that, and sometimes they get in the
Yeah.
way. Maybe that's not a message that resonates with me. However, the music resonates with me. I think the music
Hmm.
is more important sometimes than the lyrics.
Yes, and I think sometimes the lyrics get in the way because the lyrics, start our mind thinking about things, about memories or about things we haven't yet done, and then it starts our feelings happening. And then that's not necessarily relaxing or enjoyable
It,
or healing, right?
it
But
really
any kind of music, some of the really loud hard rock music is not as healing, right? Because it's actually a very dense, like low frequency dense sound is kind of like construction, so it actually does the opposite. But most, it's there was a famous book written about how to play Mozart music for children to soothe them.
Hmm,
And why is that? Because it's the vibration and the frequency
yeah.
of that beautiful music. And there's something in the notes and the keys that he played in that makes it even, more beautiful. The Gregorian chants, which are in the solfeggio scale, which is the ancient healing scale, not even our musical scale. Those people still listen to those. And when you listen to the Gregorian chants, and you can't tell, they're chanting in Latin, so who knows what the heck they're saying, right? But when you listen to the Gregorian chants, you can't help but just be kind of swept away into like
Mm,
some kind of little heaven place.
yeah.
Like,
And that's,
you know,
to your point, in that, not to minimize lyrics, but when there are vocals, that can be treated as an instrument in itself. Like I'll listen to just she passed away, just a amazing song, so many of them. But Tina Turner, What's Love Got to Do with It,
hmm
went to number one in 1984.
yeah,
But if you took away her vocals, which are amazing and an instrument in themselves, but just the it's like there's something there. And
yeah,
I when she passed, I listened to that song probably 8, 10 times and trying to dissect the music. And it's like, what is it about that song? Okay, the message is great, but there's something in the notes that is just like, come back, come back.
yeah,
It's really
yeah.
we're
Well,
out
and
of time
she,
here,
yeah, yeah.
unfortunately, and they're going to cut us off like literally right now. Uh,
Okay.
how do we find you? How do we find you?
Well, for right now, just to be really brief, if you're interested, if anybody listening is interested in the work that I do and wants to know more or wants to talk to me, send me an email to barbsounds and the number 3 at gmail.com. Just send me an email and say whatever you want to say, and we
Yeah,
can start the conversation that way.
awesome.
Yeah.
And I know you have a heal.me link and a lot
Yep.
of other stuff. But yeah,
Yep.
again, that probably
Yeah.
is the easiest way. Barb, thank you for
Yeah.
everything. You are amazing, and
You're
I've
welcome.
learned so much about energy healing and sound healing. And I look forward. We'll somehow, I got a feeling, through music, we'll be connected again at some point somewhere.
Probably, but it's been an awesome journey that we've had together for the last few
Same,
months.
same. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
Yeah.
All right. Be well.